Yeah, good morning. Today we will start our discussion on pattern recognition problems. And today particularly we'll talk about some Bayesian decision theory, which is the basic of statistical pattern recognition. Now, before I come to the pattern recognition problem, let you just quick recap of what we have done over last 3 or 4 lectures. So, our last few lectures, what we have said is given an object, we can find different type of features of that object. The features can be derived from the boundary feature, which are shape descriptions or shape features. Here we will introduce the Bayesian decision theory, how it will cover, how it will be helpful for our problems. The features may be derived from the boundary features. Similarly, the features may also be derived from the region enclosed by the boundary, and those features can be, say, texture feature and other color feature. They can be instantly features and so on. We have also said that none of these feature of this own can describe an object or a shape. So rather, many of the features taken together, they can describe the object to some degree of accuracy. So instead of considering a single feature, we have to consider a feature vector. But the component of this feature vector will be from different features. Maybe from boundary feature, maybe from shape feature, maybe from region feature like color, texture and all other. They had to be concatenated in a particular order, and whichever order we concatenate, then throughout our problem, that modeling of the problem or pattern as well as the recognition of the pattern, we have to make use of the same order. So when I put all these different features in a particular order, what I get? A feature vector. So the dimensionality of the feature vector will be dependent upon the kind of the problem. This what we have. In some cases, many features, 2-dimensional sufficient in some cases, 3-dimension sufficient for some cases, and this all depend on the problem. So as more and more dimension or more and more features you add to the feature vector, the description of the feature vector becomes more unique. There is to a great extent about the feature extension. What will be considered in this feature vector? Description increases as we increase the dimensionality of the feature vector. So to what dimension of the feature vector we have to go? In order to tackle a pattern recognition problem, that depends upon what is the problem that you have attacked. What is the complexity of the pattern? Now, whatever is the one we describe, or once we represent a pattern by a pattern vector, by a feature vector, then this entire pattern is mapped into a single point or into a single feature space. State of the nature, we can say here, state of the nature is a random variable, and the catch of salmon or sea bass, as we have earlier taken example, it is equiprobable. So PW1 equal to PW2. This is of uniform priority vector, and PW1 PW2 is summation of both equal to 1. That is exclusively and exhaustively it must be 1. Decision rule with only the prior information, and some rules without prior information. So with prior information we have to decide W1. If PW1 is less than to PW2, otherwise decide W2. Use of the class conditional information Px, which is W1, and Px belong W2, describe the difference in the lightness between the population of sea bass as well as salmon. We have two type of fishes, so these are the lightness between the populations. Here we can see hypothetical class conditional probability density function. it shows the probability density of measuring a particular feature value x given a particular pattern in this category W. If x represent the lightness of a fish, these two curve might describe the difference in lightness of population of two type of fishes. So density function are normalized, and thus the area under each such curve from this Duane curve. I have showed this image, and posterior likelihood evidence, how they are different or how they are similar, it is your own decision. Where in the case of two categories, Px may be the summation of j equal to 1 to j to Px Wj and Pwj. Here this is your posterior probability for a particular prior, Pw1 that is 2 by 3 and Pw2 that is 1 by 3 for the class conditional probability. These densities may vary. Thus in this case, given that the pattern is measured to have some feature value x equal to 14, the probability is in this category W is roughly 0.08, and that is W1 is equal to 0.92. The summation of both will be equal to 1, we have already discussed. It is also from Duda, I have taken as a reference. So whatever it is, once we describe or once we represent a pattern by a pattern vector, by a feature vector, then this entire pattern is mapped into a single point, that is called your feature space. So if we have a two-dimensional feature, then a pattern will be mapped into point of two-dimensional feature space. If we have three-dimensional feature space vector for a pattern, and this pattern is mapped into a point in the three-dimensional feature space. If we have n-dimensional feature space vector, then the pattern will be mapped into the n-dimensional feature space. So it is nothing but whenever we are finding out the features, it is always depend on the mapping of the pattern to a point of the feature space. So taking a very simple example, suppose we have supervised learning and we have two-dimensional feature vectors. I am taking this example of two-dimensional illustration because I can very easily plot this. So in the previous, this probability based statistical, this is hypothetical class conditional probability, here it is shown. Similarly, the pattern which are taken from this particular class, those will not be placed in point mapped to the point, and two-dimensional feature space, while these 2 points will also be very close to each other. So it is not so good sign for categorization. Similarly, all the patterns which are taken from class 2, they will also be mapped to point as a cloud in this two-dimensional feature space. Quite these two different clouds are likely to be wide apart if the pattern are wide apart. Here we can see this. Now intuitive decision rule given to the posterior probability, that is x, as we have seen, if p priority of W1 and priority of W2, if it is true state of nature, then it is equal to W1. If it is true state of nature 2, that is equal to W2. Why do this? Whenever we observe a particular x, the probability of error is P error x equal to Pw1 x if we decide it is W2, and error x Pw2 x if we decide W1. So minimizing the probability of error, decide W1 if Pwxx is all greater than Pw2, otherwise decide W2. You have to decide, you have to choose from W1 or W2. Therefore, the error in must be always, we try to minimize the error. So error of x equal to mean Pw1 and Pw2. This is your Bayes decision. Bayes decision theory, depending on the features, generalization of the preceding idea, we have to use of more than one features, use more than two state of nature, allowing action and not only decide on the state of nature. So as already said, if we choose one dimensional, two dimensional or n dimensional, according to that we have to maintain the vector space. Now in this simple kind of situation, this pattern recognition problem is nothing but something like that. I have to find out the decision boundary. So if the point lies on one side of the boundary, I will say that point belong to one class. If it lies on the other side of the boundary, I will say that the pattern belong to the other class. So in this simple example, you find that I can draw a straight and separating these two different sets. We have to allowing action and not only decide on the state of the nature. We have to introduce a loss of function which is more general than the probability of error. We have to consider the errors. Allowing action other than classification primarily allows the possibility of rejection. And refusing to make a decision in close or bad cases. We have to consider the risk of bad cases, and letting loss function state how costly each function or action taken is. So if I have an unknown pattern or a feature vector corresponding to unknown pattern, and suppose the feature vector falls on this point somewhere or over here. Now we sense the feature vector is on the left side of the decision boundary. Also that this feature vector belong to this class 1. If the feature vector happens to the somewhere else over here, it is on the other side of the decision boundary. If I will say that feature vector belong to the class 2. So here designing of the classifier or training of the classifier means I have to find out the question of this decision boundary from the set of samples that are given to us. So what are those training samples? This is the set of training samples taken from this class omega 1 and class 2. Because in this case the two classes can be separated by a linear boundary. This is also known as the linear separable classes. So classes in this case are linearly separable. So only when the classes are linearly separable, I can find out a straight line separating the two classes in 2 dimensions. If it is in 3 dimension, that is I have 3-dimensional feature vector. In this case, I will have a plan separating the two classes. If the dimension is more than 3, I can neither have a line straight nor a plan. But what I have is a hyperplane. Similarly, I have another set of training samples taken from some classes where we are distributed like this. So I am putting this sample in some different classes. Here Bayesian decision theory depends on the feature. Let W1, W2, W up to WC be the set of C state of the nature, or these are called the classes. Let suppose alpha 1, 2 and up to alpha A be the set of possible actions. These are actions, and your delta is alpha 1 to Wj be the loss of action, and alpha I when the state of the nature is Wj. So this is the relation and notation here. What is the expected loss or action? That is alpha j. For any given x is expected loss. The formula already explained. Conditional risk, here we consider conditional risk equal to expected loss. Overall risk may be the sum of all risk. So conditional risk, all type of conditional risk may be summated, and this is called the overall risk. Minimizing this risk means minimizing individual risk. So the formula, we have to select the action alpha j for some risk. Alpha j belong to x is minimum. R is minimum. R means the risk is minimum, and R is the case of called Bayesian risk, that is equal to best performance that can be achieved. Two category classification means alpha 1 deciding in W1 and alpha 2 deciding W2, and delta Ij equal to delta alpha j and Wj. Loss incurred for deciding Wj when the true state of the nature is Wj. Conditional risk, that is already explained, your risk for alpha 1 and risk for alpha 2. Here we have to select the action alpha j for risk alpha j x is minimum. To decide that to keep it minimum, we have to decide the case R is called the Bayesian risk. That is again the equal to the best performance that can be achieved. Overall risk we can cover here. So today we have seen the features and how the feature affect our performance and how risk cover. So kind of approach that people take in some complicated cases is making use of neural network classifier. However, the decision boundary and the information of the decision boundary is actually encoded in the beta matrix. Of the weighted matrix of uneven network, how many of you done neural network classifier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so let us see. I mean, we will come to neuron as a network, and the classifier will be used as a neural network. But what does neural network do? In short, we can say the decision boundary through it is computational and non-linear decision boundary. So I can have a linear approximation, which is very important. We will go through the approximation of the decision boundary. A neural network is the simplest form. Actually, it tries to form a collection of such straight line boundaries. Similarly, here we for efficiency I have is number of linear equations or number of actually encoded within the weight vector or within weight matrix we will use it. So this the introduction of Bayesian decision theory. In next lecture we will cover some more about Bayesian decision theory. Thank you.